Today, let's customize and design our Slate truck. Welcome to the bright side. Last week, I went over the unveiling of the new Slate truck, which is a new EV expected to hit the market within the next year or two. And what really makes the Slate truck stand out compared to the other new EVs coming to market soon, besides the starting price of around $25,000, is that the buyer has full control over the customization and design, really making their Slate truck truly their own. So today I wanted to go over the Slate Maker and go through all the options that they have available for us and create our own Slate truck. And then after we're done building it, I want to take it into Illustrator and create some unique designs that later, if this truck does come out and if I do get one, that I can use that and actually wrap the truck on my own. First and foremost, we have to build our truck. So let's head over to Slate's website and use their maker to make our own. So this is Slate's truck builder on their website, where you can scroll through and look at all of the options that you have available. The first option is starter packs. And as you can see, scrolling through these are all pretty much the stuff that we saw at the unveiling as far as options go, pre-built models type of deal. Just showing off what exactly you can do inside the builder. But for our purposes, we're going to start with the blank slate. Moving over to the body style, we have the 3 body styles that they showed off during the reveal. And the first one, of course, is just the pickup. The second one is the boxy SUV. This top kind of makes it look like a Land Rover Discovery to me, one of the newer ones. So I'm not a big fan of it, but what I really do like is the fastback SUV kit option. And this topper I think really looks cool. My wife, on the other hand, thinks it kind of looks girly with this on, but I like it. It's my truck. Leave me alone. Okay. So yes, we're going to go with the fastback SUV kit. And on the next tab, we have colors, the different wraps that you can do for it. They have pre-made colors that you can use, like this bright orange. I actually really like that, and the green too, I think is really cool. And if you want, since it's a wrap, you can use the color picker and create a totally unique, completely customized version. And you also have options for gloss, satin, and matte. But since we're going to take this into Photoshop after we're done building it, I'm just going to leave it as the blank slate, the slate gray that it comes in. Moving to the next tab over, you have different partial wraps that you can do. This one they highlighted at the reveal again. I'm pretty sure a lot of these, if not all of them, they showed at the reveal event, where you can do essentially 2 tones, and that's kind of reminiscent of the old C10s back in the day. And you can also do a gradient version, which I think is really cool. Again, since this is all going to be wrapped, you essentially can do whatever you want. But again, for this, we're going to stick to the slate gray and customize it later in Illustrator. Moving on, similar thing to partial wraps. You have different decals that you can do, like racing stripes, different colors, pre-made. Again, you should be able to make whatever you want as far as decals, partial wraps, full wraps go. But moving on to the true details, the exterior accessories that you can do. This one is a rear bumper upgrade. Makes it look a little more off-roady. I think I prefer the smaller standard rear bumper compared to the bigger, boxier looking rear bumper. Same thing with the front. I think this looks a little too boxy for it, even though the whole thing is pretty boxy as it is. The standard one, in my opinion, looks a little more sleek, so we're just going to leave the bumpers as is. Now, if you do want a spare tire carrier like you have on a Wrangler, it looks like you will have to opt for the upgraded rear bumper. I am not really interested in it because I think it looks a little weird with it being slant. Maybe with the complete boxy SUV kit, the spare tire probably looks way better with it, but for the fastback, I'm just going to leave it off for now. Here we also have options for fender flares, and it looks like with the fender flares, they may come with spacers as well for the wheels because it pushes the wheels out a little bit. Again, since this car is in pre-production, we don't really know exactly what all comes with whatever accessories you opt for. So just keep that in mind when you are going through the maker building your own. It's all kind of loosey-goosey at the moment. Another option for exterior is running boards. I know I'm probably realistically going to opt for the running boards just because my wife, she prefers running boards. With my Canyon that I have right now, I don't have any running boards, and she absolutely despises getting in and out of the thing. It's not even lifted, but she's got short little tiny legs, so she prefers any help that she can get. So for ours, we'll probably opt for the running boards. You also have options for raising and lowering. I believe they said 2 inches, but don't hold me to that. Either raising it 2 inches or lowering it 2 inches. I do actually kind of like the idea of it being lowered a couple of inches kind of like reminiscent of the old GMC Cyclone and Typhoon, if you know what those cars are. They were basically back in the 80s or 90s, I can't remember what decade, but GMC came out with them, super overpowered, two-wheel drive only, and they were super slammed to the ground. They were basically a race street truck and SUV, and they looked super cool. Unfortunately, they didn't make a whole lot of them, so they're pretty hard to find nowadays. Moving on to the grille, you have a lot of options here as far as customization goes for like the side marker, turn signal cover things, and as well as the grille cover. Going through all these, they're all pre-made, but Slate did say that for these parts, it'll all be open source, so we should be able to get those files, customize them, and actually 3D print them on our own, which is obviously really cool. So since this is something that we'll be able to 3D print and customize later on by ourselves, I'm just going to leave that as is right now, not opting for any extras for the grille. And we do have an option for a roof rack, although I don't really have any use for it, so I am not going to opt for that either. For wheels and tires, we actually do have quite a bit of customization options here with different aluminum wheels. We also have an option for Steelies, which if you hit the cancel out, yep, that brings you to the Steelies. I love the look of Steelies, so I'm definitely going with that. As well as tires, you get to see what the truck looks like with different types of tires, like off-road tires and street tires, low profile, and a little happy medium. I think I'm going to go with the happy medium here. Never mind, if you want Steelies, it looks like you're going to have to deselect the tire option that you want. Unless you want the off-road tires, then it automatically gives you Steelies. So let's not opt for any special tires here and remove the alloys. And sweet, we're back to the Steelies. Next, we have wheel style, which is either, I think, just hubcaps, or if you have alloys, it's just a cover for those. So going through here to look at all the options, yeah, it does switch our wheels from Steelies to alloys, but it does have some pretty cool options. I just like Steelies, so. Oh, here we go. So these are actually decals for the steel wheels if you choose to go that route. So since those are decals, we should be able realistically to have full customization for the wheel decals. Of course, I'm just going to leave that blank. And moving on to the lighting, we have an option for the front fog lights, which if you opt for those, it looks like you have to upgrade to the bumper. We also have a front light update, which it looks like it just changes the colors of the lens. And same with the tailgate lights. But then again, Slate said these should be open source for us to take the files, customize to make our own, and 3D print them for our own truck. So moving into the interior of the truck, we have a ton of options that we can use, so let's just go through them real quick. We have a decal set that looks pretty retro, kind of like the old Toyota pickup from the 80s. We also have options for a center console, either no center console or black and brown. I definitely want a center console, so I'm going to go with the black one. And we also have options for an armrest here. I kind of like just the gray one, so I'm going to leave that. And a couple of seat covers. Again, I like the two-tone black and gray. You even have options for floor mats, either rubber or carpet. And of course, you can go with none. And same thing with the floor liner. Here we have accent color options for our dials for the climate control. And there's an option for a pedal kit cover, a brushed stainless steel. But realistically, you're never going to see that. So I'm just going to leave that as is. For the back armrests, we have the same options, going to leave that as stock. And here on the steering wheel, we have a couple of different accents. We have gunmetal and bronze. The stock black looks fine to me. But again, I'm a basic boy, so we'll leave that as stock. We also have options for a sunglass holder. It looks like if you do that, you have to also opt for the power windows. In stock form, this comes with manual windows, which my Wrangler already has manual windows, so I'm cool with just sticking with that. And here it looks like you can customize the color of your key fob here on the left of the phone. Looks like stock is black. That's fine, it just blends in. Moving on to doors and windows, it looks like you have an option for a door cubby if you want some more storage. Oh, you can even customize the little handle for the crank windows. And here's the option for removing the crank windows and turning them into power windows. Slate also stated that we should be able to install these ourselves. If not, then Slate can do it for you, or a local shop near your house can also do that as well. We also have some color options for the door panel. It looks like this is a wrap. Yeah, it's labeled down here as a wrap. So theoretically, you can make it whatever color you want. And lastly, for the doors, you have an option for the shoulder accent right here at the top of the door. Next, we have dashboard, which gives us quite a bit of options here as far as accents go. They really like that orange accent. I'm cool with leaving all of this basic. Again, basic boy. I like a basic interior. Yep, let's go ahead and leave everything stock. And this is something cute for owners if they have kids, but they have slatelets, basically little gibbets that you put on Crocs. They have different slatelets that you can buy, and I'm sure that the aftermarket field will go crazy over these little slatelets, making complete custom ones and different sizes and stuff. But we don't need any of these right now, so let's leave it a blank slate. Get it? Now for the audio and tech options, this is where a lot of people either fall off or they're really intrigued by this truck. But for the audio options, everything is optioned out. So essentially you have to buy all of your entertainment stuff like speakers and infotainment. All that is separate. So it looks like you can put speakers inside the dash here, and you can also opt for an extra speaker here below the climate controls. And if you want to supply your own Bluetooth speaker, you can do that and just buy a mount. For the infotainment, the stock option is just using your smartphone. But if you're like me and you have an iPad laying around that you use maybe once or twice a month, a good option here is to buy the tablet mount, which again, you should be able to install yourself. Just 4 screws is what Slate said, and it fully installs for you and holds your iPad or tablet or whatever device you have perfectly in the center of the dashboard, giving you a bigger screen. Along with that, you can also add some Bluetooth controls to the steering wheel if you don't want to constantly be pecking at your screen. And finally, it looks like you have some auxiliary buttons that go underneath your screen or tablet or phone or whatever device you're using. But I think this is a pretty cool option if you're one to trick out your car or truck with different auxiliary lighting or floodlights or underglow. And here we have our Slate truck all spec'd out, ready to go for us. So now let's take some screenshots of different angles and take it into Illustrator and start designing our wrap. So here we have our screenshots for the truck at different angles. I want to focus on the side, the hood, and the back tailgate. So first, let's go through and trace the areas that we want covered in our custom wrap. All right, here we have all of the areas that I would probably want to wrap. So starting with the easiest, probably the tailgate, I would imagine. I think for this, I just want to lay out my bright side logo. So bringing that in, let's go ahead and split it up because I need to make it more of a landscape design than a vertical one. So bumping this up to take almost the entire height of the tailgate. Bring this over a little bit, make it also quite big. I want the bottom to line up better, so I may have to make it a little smaller because the top of the camera, I want it to align somewhat with the top of the words. Same with the bottom. I want it all to be pretty streamlined. I also don't want it to be like a super bright colored, like kind of in your face. I want it to be somewhat subtle. So if we wrap the whole thing in like a midnight blue situation, I think that could look really cool. So instead of the white here, let's make it a little more subtle than that. I like that direction, but I feel like it'll be a little too subtle, a little too hard to read. So if I were to make it pop more, let's make the bed of the truck back to slate gray. And the color that I feel like a lot of people don't use with slate gray, but I feel like it looks really, really good, is a neon green or kind of like a teal color. I really like the teal, so let's kind of roll with that for now. Moving over to the hood, same thing. I'm going to color match the hood to the slate gray of the truck. Maybe make the hood a little lighter to make it look a little more convincing. And for this one, I think I'm just going to only have my icon kind of across the hood like that. And with this, I'm actually going to turn it into a clipping mask so we can actually see it on the hood. I'm not really loving the placement of it, so I'm going to bring it down in size a little bit so you can kind of get the full picture. There, that looks better, but I'm also going to bring down the opacity because I kind of want it to be more faded and not really in your face type of design, at least on the hood anyway. I think that looks really cool. And now moving on to the side, and arguably more difficult because really you have the most space on the side. Let's go ahead and color match the side to the gray. There, that looks a little better, but I think I'm going to also do the mask on the side, so I'm not that worried about the color right now. So instead of putting bright side right here on the side in big letters, I kind of think I like it better up in the corner, a little smaller. Again, not really in your face, but it's something noticeable whenever people are looking at it. And now is when we can really start playing with the color. If you notice my background, my two main colors are purple and kind of cyan, but for this, I think I'm going to lean more toward teal. So with that in mind, I'm going to shoot for almost having a wave effect for the back side of the car. So I want to start it at the bottom of the door panel and slowly curve our way upward. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and use our shape builder tool and remove the outside. Also recut out our turn signals and little rivets there. And then of course I need to smooth out our actual curve. There we go. I think that looks pretty cool, but I'd like to add another secondary wave behind this one, probably in that cyan teal-ish color. So to do that easily, we can just duplicate our purple side here and make it that custom color. Put it behind the purple and adjust it to exactly where we'll want it, probably right there. And then do the same thing with the shape builder tool. And then we can drop down the opacity a little bit. Now with this, we can probably bring the bright side a little larger than that, or possibly over the fender well. More like, since the charging door, is that what they're called? They're not fuel doors. Let's go with charging door. Since the charging door is right here, we'll put it off to the side just a little bit. Probably bring it down a smidge. And then since we do have that empty door panel there, I am going to grab our little icon and place it right in the center of the door. Probably make it a little smaller as well. Now the question is, do I like it in teal or the purple? Yeah, definitely the teal. So I really like the look of this, especially with it being more subtle and kind of a calm design. Not really super in your face with a lot of loud different colors, but sticking with a tricolor and a simple wave pattern kind of eases your eye a bit along with the important information. But with the purple only being on the side, I feel like we need to add some purple aspects to the hood and the back tailgate as well. So with the hood, I think I want to keep this here, but also include a purple pinstripe down the hood of the car. And let's go ahead and bring that shape back so we can make sure the stripe is actually cutting off where it needs to be. Instead of one solid stripe, I think I'm going to do two skinnier stripes, or maybe three actually. Let's see what three looks like. I'm kind of trying to align it with the side marker lines as well. And having it like that, I think it looks really good. Now onto the back, we can actually just bring those three stripes that we had and have it continue down the side of the tailgate. We'll just have to move the Bright Side Creative Studio logo over a bit, kind of resize it. So again, same thing. I believe it lines up with this line here on the bumper. I could be wrong though, but for this, I'm sticking with that. Let's go ahead and make our clipping mask. And now we'll just have to resize the logo. With that, the bright side can actually be right in the center, and this can become a little larger as well. Looking at the hood and tailgate picture side by side, I feel like the tailgate stripes could be over a little more. Probably more like right there. I don't think this bumper and the turn signal actually line up now that I'm looking at the two photos. So moving that over, let's realign these two items and resize to fill the space. And there we go. Here's my first concept of possibly the wrap that I may do on the Slate truck. If I do get one, if it comes out, maybe, who knows, maybe in 2 years' time. Of course, I'll probably make a lot of changes between now and the time that this truck actually releases. But let me know what you think of the first iteration for my custom wrap. And if you're also thinking about getting a Slate truck and wrapping it yourself, what designs and color schemes are you kind of leaning toward right now? I'd love to see all of your ideas down in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for checking out the custom builder with me and working on a custom design for a possible wrap. Alrighty, until next time, deuces everybody.